Hi everyone, I'm Nick Smart. I'm the VP of Intelligence at Crystal Intelligence. I'm joined here today with my colleague Rajat Alawat. We are going to do some Crystal insights. We're going to talk about a topic that I think is not really discussed very much in cryptocurrency, and that's crypto uses in Iran. What does it look like on the ground? Like, what's the relationship between the people of Iran and crypto like?
A really interesting case study in itself because in Iran, there's a huge user base for cryptocurrencies, and Iran has one of the highest crypto adoption rates among the population. And there's a variety of use cases. So, the Iranian rial, to begin with, it depreciated around 40% just in 2024. So, as a hedge against the depreciating rial, crypto investments are used very commonly. Apart from that, Iran's network are under sanctions, so they don't have access to international payment gateways like Visa or MasterCard. One of the interesting things I recently uncovered that in Iran, it started as a joke that Bitcoin gives you twice the profitability because one is the rising Bitcoin value against the dollar, and second is the depreciating Iranian rial. It started off as a joke, but now you can actually find news articles just giving out this analysis.
I think you've brought up some really important points there. Like, first of all, the adoption is really big in that country, and it's big for lots of reasons which were familiar to most people, like hedge against inflation. And the other really big thing is that you then have like a growing user base who's quite technically literate, who's looking for an option there. You guys are telling me not so long ago that Iran has brought in some legislation regarding registration of crypto businesses. Like, what does that look like?
In Iran, for the longest time, there were no crypto regulations despite such a strong adoption. So, what it got in is a lot of crime in that matter because there were a lot of Ponzi schemes happening, there were a lot of fake exchanges, and at this point, it's estimated that crypto crime in Iran is like 3,000 cases per day. The Tehran prosecutor's office says that 20% of the crime that they are getting is related to crypto. So the regulation came in after a lot of delay in that matter, but recent came in like 3 months back, where the Central Bank of Iran is the ultimate regulator. They define all the parameters related to what virtual assets are, what like investment securities, those matters. And also, there's a separate category for the central bank digital currency. But also, it's divided between, let's say, three different agencies. The Iranian Space Council has to be consulted in every case. And also, in terms of crypto mining, has actually gone to the Ministry of Energy and Resources.
But it hasn't all been smooth sailing for Iran's relationship with cryptocurrency, has it? Because of the inflation issue and because of the devaluation of the rial tamen. What have Iran done to try and control people flocking to cryptocurrency and sort of deserting their own currency?
Recently, it has been a really big thing because it majorly started with the October 3rd missile attacks that Iran did on Israel. So, in the aftermath of that, the government came in with a lot of regulations for buying cryptocurrencies. So, it started with some smaller steps, like the payment gateway was blocked for a couple of hours in the aftermath of the attacks. And also, when Israel did their counterattacks, even that time the payment gateway was blocked. But these were periods for like 12 hours. But along came some stricter regulations, like they limited buying of USDT and like crypto investments. Cryptocurrency buying amount was restricted to 25 million reals a day, which is roughly equivalent to $550 per day. Along with that, they introduced a 72-hour window. So once you deposit your reals to an exchange and you buy a cryptocurrency, you cannot withdraw it for a period of 72 hours. Along with the regulations also came stricter reporting requirements from the regulator. So what they did was it was approximately 2 months back that Shaparak is the online payment gateway in Iran. It blocked access to all the crypto platforms. So basically, they came up with a set of 13 very stringent requirements. Some they asked exchanges to share all the user information and transaction data for the past 3 years. Now, this was one thing that the whole industry was very strongly against. The Iran FinTech Association actually came out with a statement saying that they would not share user data even if it leads to closure of all the crypto exchanges. But over time, we've seen some progress in these matters, like some of the smaller exchanges fearing that the loss of customers, they have actually adhered to these requirements and they have shared this data with the government. But most of the major ones are not sharing this user information. That's like they're drawing a red line.
Whenever people talk about Iran and cryptocurrency, we tend to look at the big platforms. And actually, as you said, there's a whole ecosystem of people who are using smaller platforms and, now a much bigger registry of them going on. Rajat, like if you were looking at this, like what do you think the future looks like for Iranian crypto? Do you think this is just like a flash in the pan? Do you think that, it's eventually going to go away? Or do you think that the user base has grown to a point now where, people really just stand up and take notice?
That's a very interesting point you've raised, Nick. And also, there's a strong risk zone in this because, again, like with the very diverse crypto community, they tend to use all kinds of different exchanges. So, like the big majority uses the domestic exchanges, but there's also a growing major section of the population that goes on to foreign exchanges. So, if you go through Iranian Telegram channels, there are all kinds of guidelines available to access global exchanges. Some of the really big names, let's say Bybit or MEXC exchange, they are very active amongst Iranians. But at the same time, there's also this growing and very strong industry which helps Iranian bypass the KYC information required. Strong industries who specialize in creating fake IDs, creating fake documents. If you look at some of the providers, it's actually very interesting that they have very diverse range of services which Iranians can access and for a relatively cheaper price. For example, their base package, $40, would give you a set of fake ID cards which you can use to bypass KYC. And if you go to the top packages, this costs around close to $300 and it includes SIM card from another country, permanent VPN access, bank accounts, set of 5 different ID cards, which you can basically do all sorts of verification. And the videos just for testimonials showing that, okay, these have been successful.
One thing I did remember you telling me about those services, though, they even offer coaching, like specific services where they might be using a particular KYC provider. They'll actually help you and guide you through the process, which I think is another step, which we find quite interesting. Is it's not just about, okay, have an ID and call it a day. Actually, we're going to coach you through the process of getting an account on an exchange. We have big shifts in geopolitics happening at the moment. What do you think the future looks like for crypto in Iran?
So it's been 2 months that there's no payment access for the Iranian exchanges. But at the same time, the Iranian Telegram channels are flowing with information on how to deal with it. So bank transfers is one thing. Like a lot of the exchanges are promoting bank transfers. Also, access to foreign exchanges getting popular, where Iranians can actually withdraw their funds from domestic exchanges, transfer it to foreign exchanges. Now, there are also guidelines for that because if you'll remember, there were recently some bounty programs, notably by Arkham and Codata, identifying Iranian addresses and flagging them. Now, a lot of the exchanges changed their infrastructure. They also started publishing guidelines. If you're transferring to a foreign exchange from an Iranian exchange, don't do it directly. Do it through, let's say, a series of 2 or 3 self-hosted wallets. Recently, there also have been developments. So, for example, the Ministry of Religious Affairs, it came up with the guideline that Iran will not allow any kind of crypto advertising. There's a big potential in the market. There are a lot of people who are willing to invest in cryptocurrencies. But preventing any kind of advertisement create this information gap between the user base, which if you look at how Telegram has been a big influence and flourishing in Iran, it can also be used as platform to promote different fraudulent activities.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, Rajat. I really enjoy these conversations. If you want to know more about cryptocurrency use in Iran, we've got some excellent resources on the Crystal website. Of course, we're always here to talk. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to our contact email and one of the team will be in touch with us. Rajat, thank you very much for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.